Hey guys, Creator Mom. So I'm reading this book by Jay Reed, and it's I just want to talk about it as I'm inspired to talk about things that it brings up for me. And one thing that it brings up for me is that I think that I think that children um, get a sense of who they feel is safe and who they feel is unsafe. Now, I think that generally as children, we're forced to be around people, even if we feel weird around those people or we don't like those people or we feel like those people are unsafe for whatever reason. We're forced to visit family members that we would rather not be around or touch with a 10-inch pole, whatever that saying is, 10-foot pole, not 10-inch. um, we're forced to visit family members who we might just feel are like fucking yucky, honestly. We don't have a choice. We have to. And we have to hug them. Ew. Ugh. And talk to them. And they're just so uncomfortable and unnatural and gross. We're not really protected from these people because our parents also submit to this paradigm of like we have to visit these family members who are just yucky and gross. Ugh. God, I just get the heebie jeebies just thinking about it, dude. For real. So, my kids, again, have a sense of, they do have a sense. I've noticed this because some people might say, well, like maybe your kids just, aren't around that many people and don't know how to like treat people, act around people. No, no, no. That's not it. Because when my kids slept over their friend's house, my kids feel safe around their friends' parents. They love their friends' parents, as a matter of fact. They really like them. They really feel safe around them. So I like that. That's really cool. My kids have met their great grandmother maybe like twice, literally, maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't know. Well, anyways, the first time we visited, they don't live in the same state as me. First time we visited, um, my great grandparent my grandmother, their great grandparent, lives in one of those like senior buildings, not an assisted living, just a building that seniors live in because it's like low income for seniors, whatever. So, okay, we all walk in and they start saying, like, it really smells in here. It smells gross in here. They're like, just to give you some context, like, 9, 8, and 6, something, in that age group. So at the time, so like, oh, it smells in here. I'm like, okay, guys, like, it's okay. Like, I'm being that parent that's like, we have to visit this person because I'm with my mother and my mother wants to visit my grandmother and we have to do this and we have to get through this. And they're just complaining that it just smells in the building. They hate it already. They haven't even gone up to the apartment. So then my grandmother opens the door and she has a mask on. It's like, what, 2022, whatever, 23. She's still wearing a mask. No, 22. And then my kids are like even far more taken back. They're just like, oh my God, this person they're gross too. We don't like this person already. So, and mind you, my grandmother doesn't put out, she is sweet, but she's also like, she knows that she doesn't really like kids. Like, she's not like, she doesn't know how to relate to kids for some reason. Okay. So she knows this about herself. So her energy is probably not like the safest, most welcoming energy, even though she might try to put on like, oh, hi guys. You know what I'm saying? They're already put off by her. And see, like, kids, like, they have like less filter, right? They have less filter. They don't have that filter. It's gonna be like, okay, I gotta force myself to get through this. Let me act appropriately. They're just like, oh, we don't like you. Like, you freak us out. They didn't say that, but they just acted that way. My oldest is the most mature. He kind of like mature. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's the oldest. He's kind of just like more developed. He's like, okay, like, I don't like this. I'm just going to sit here. I ain't going to be happy about it, but I'm just going to be here. They don't really want to be touched by her or anything much. And my youngest was just like, refused to go in because it just smelled, and what did I do? I think at that point I did end up just picking him up and bringing him in. This can make people angry. Like, I know it made my mother angry at me. Like, how dare you let your kids treat your grandmother this way? You know what I'm saying? Mind you, she does not treat my grandmother well at all. Emotionally speaking, my kids were just being true to how they felt, They didn't they didn't curse nobody out. They didn't hit nobody. They didn't run around and destroy the place. They just sat there being unhappy. Do they have that right to sit there and be unhappy? Yeah, I think they do. You know what I'm saying? They don't, it's not their job to act happy so that somebody else can feel happy. It's not their job. But that's what a narcissistic parent will have you believe. It is your job to kind of act happy so that you make the other person feel happy. No, they weren't happy to be there. They were there, So, anyways, we went to visit again at another time, and they were like re-traumatized for some reason. They just in the van, and they did not want to get out. They were just like, no. My mom almost forced one of them to get out and ended up hurting one of my kids a little bit, trying to force them to get out the van. So I don't really know why they're, now mind you, we had went to visit another family member too. We went to her house and they were totally fine around them. Totally fine. No problems. But for some reason, going to visit my grandmother in this building and this thing, it was a bad thing for them. But we go to another family member's house and they just really had a good time. They liked her. They felt safe around her. They felt like she was nice. You know what I'm saying? And everyone feels like that about this particular person. They do tend to like her. And she does seem a little more genuinely nice. So anyway, on this second occasion that we went to go visit my grandmother, like I said, they refused to get out of the van. Of course, with my narcissistic mother, all of this was seen as my fault, my lack of probably good parenting or whatever. Of course, she's admitted to other people that she doesn't think I'm a good mother. So that is her opinion of me. Oh, my foot's falling asleep, which is fine, right? Not everybody has to think you're a great person or a great parent. So then I knew at this point in time that force was not going to be the way to handle this situation. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like the issue went deeper than that. It wasn't just that they were just being dicks or something, like, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, they're like, oh no, not this place again. We don't like this place. We hate it. They were terrified. I truly think that they were like terrified to experience going in there again. So anyways, it took a while, but finally she gave up because she got pissed off that they weren't listening to her. So she left, right? Which was good because, again, right, just like the Disney occasion I spoke about in my last video, they weren't going to give in to her force or manipulation. So anyways, once she was able to leave, and my dynamic with her is that when she's there, I'm like frozen because of my own issues growing up with this person. my own fears, my own intimidations. So I couldn't hardly function that well. But once she left, I was able to talk to my kids like how I would talk to them. And, basically kind of just had a pep talk. But you know what? Now that I think about it, if I would have said, you know what, why don't you go visit? If I would have told my mother, why don't you go visit with your mother and me and my kids will just stay out here because they don't want to go up there. And if she wants to come out, maybe, and, that would be, we could do that. But I'm not going to force them to go upstairs. I could have done that too, actually. But at that point in time, I don't think I saw that as an option because I was probably just too afraid of her getting extremely pissed off at me. So, it's kind of just that battle between like, well, kids can't always have their way. You know what I mean? Like, they have to do things they don't want to do. That's a part of life, doing things you don't want to do, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. They were just terrified. They didn't want to go. And when do you make that call that a kid has to do something that they don't want to do, right? Like something's for their own good or something. Which visiting my grandmother didn't really add much good to their life per se, It wasn't like, well, you got to make your kids brush their teeth because that's a good habit to have. Like, yeah, you got to make them brush their teeth, of course. I'm not going to let them sit around and eat junk food all day, right? So you have to kind of draw the line on when that philosophy is good to employ and when it's not. Is it always good to force a kid to do everything that they don't want to do, or is there some times where you can talk and like it'll be okay for them not to do something that they don't feel comfortable doing? So, anyways, I just told them that we'll just basically, like that song, like, we're going on a bear hunt, we're gonna catch a big one, we're not scared. We can't, and then they come, uh-oh, like there's a river or something, or what are we gonna do? We can't go over it, we can't go under it, we have to go through it, kind of like that situation. That I sang that little song to them. And then I was like, let's just go through it, go upstairs, and then like get it over and done with. So anyways, long story short, they ended up going up and they just sat there. It was fine. Like, they didn't really want much to do with my grandmother. But again, they just sat there. And that was it. And my mother, of course, hold resentment at me. She's angry at me for this. Like, oh, it's fucked up. What you let your kids do to your grandmother is fucked up. Well, they didn't really. Yes, well, her feelings may have been hurt that like her great grandchildren didn't really feel comfortable visiting with her and didn't want to see her. That could be hurtful. But to go on and try to say that like it was something intentional, and to say that like I allowed them to do it, like as if I can get inside of them and be like, be happy and hug your grandma and do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. Like, that's not, I got them to at least go upstairs and sit there. You know what I'm saying? But, and that was enough, I think. I think that was enough. I didn't really allow them to do anything to my grandmother, really. They didn't punch her or kick her. They didn't yell at her. They didn't say, I don't like you and I don't want to be here. They were really just kind of quiet. So, yeah. I feel like people put up with my mother's shit and nobody tells her like it is. Like, I don't want to be around you anymore. Because the thing is that she's like an altruistic narcissist. She'll help you and things like that, but she'll treat you emotionally poorly. All right, peace out, guys.